Yo, alright, welcome back. Ranbir Sanghera podcast. Today's topic is something that I was just thinking about. I was listening to something, and he was talking about identities and labels and how that limits you. So if you're a person who's ever said, oh, I'm an introvert, if you're a person who's ever said, oh, I'm an extrovert, or any label you want to put on, right? When it comes to fat loss, which is the world that, I'm an expert in, nutrition, training, health. If you've ever said to yourself, or someone's told you, or you've told somebody else, oh, losing weight is hard for me. That's the label of it's hard for me to lose weight. That's a label. I used to put the label on myself of, it's really hard for me to gain muscle. I can't put on muscle. And so the thing that is so crazy about all this stuff, because you can rationalize and make it sound cool and logical and like legitimate. Like, people are not going to tell you, oh, you're an introvert. No, you're not an introvert. Like, no one's going to tell you no. Like, especially in the time that we live in, everyone kind of just goes along with whatever people say for fear of being called out or like being insensitive, whatever it might be. But here's the thing. You live that life. You live that experience. You're not going to experience something different other than what an introvert goes through. Like, that's what you're going to live. And you take, we all almost like we take pride in saying these types of things of like, oh, I'm an introvert. Like, to me, I always felt uncomfortable. I don't even know if uncomfortable is the right word. I just didn't know, but like rebellious, I guess, would be a better term. Deep down, I'm like, I didn't feel good being on a team, right? In this case, it's the introvert team. Yeah, we're all introverts. Like I'm an introvert. You know what I mean? And it just felt not right. And I think that's that rebellious side that everybody has. I don't want to be part of somebody else's thing. I don't want to be on somebody else's team. I want to be on my team. I forget which book I was reading, but the guy was talking about the two sides of the coin of wanting to be unique and independent and also wanting to fit in. And so, we kind of use these labels to do that. So like, oh, I'm an introvert. That's like what sets me apart. That's me trying to be unique. But I'm also like part of this team. Like, I want to fit in with all the other introverts, right? I'm on the introvert team. So for me, I'm always like, nah. When someone tries to label me as something, I always feel this rebellious urge. Before, I didn't really know how to pinpoint it. What was this unease? What were these feelings or emotions? But now I know. It's like I fundamentally, and I think all people have this, it's just that we have varying degrees of awareness and sensitivities to actually be able to listen to these things. But I was like, if somebody would label me as something, I'll be like, no, nah, that's not, that doesn't work for me. And so what I've come to realize is that when you do that, when you become Team X or Team Y, you really limit your life. So I don't think I would have really figured this part out if I hadn't been so unsatisfied and miserable and lost and confused and frustrated with the results that I was getting in my life. So there's a book, okay? And I'm not, again, this is very important. You don't demonize anything. Because when you demonize something, you give it power, and you make it a power above you and outside of you. So that's really like, then everything else is controlling your life and the direction and the outcome, versus you being sovereign and being the master of your kingdom, right? So even though I'm gonna make this example about, I believe, Susan Cain's book called, I want to say it was called Quiet. It was about introverts. I'm not demonizing it, because that would mean I'm giving that book the power over me, and why my life is like this, and why, that led me astray because I believed I was an introvert, and then No. This is observations. A master can observe everything in his kingdom, and he doesn't give power to it, right? So, and there's always, everything is perfect and beautiful because it gives you something along the way that helps inform you and adds to everything else. So this book, Quiet, by Susan Cain, I first read it and I was like, oh my God, this is me. That's me. That's why I'm the way that I am. That's why I struggle with business. That's why I struggle in negotiations, or I avoid conflict, because I'm an introvert. And I place this label nice and conveniently on myself, because it spoke to so many of the things that I had experienced. But see, now doing that, I will forever continue to live those experiences, because anytime a situation comes up, I pull up this nice convenient label and I'm like, oh, well, this is how I behave in this situation because I'm an introvert. And that's then going to dictate the results and the experiences of my life, versus me consciously choosing what to do and what to think, and coming from within me. It's coming from outside. Were there things that book helped me kind of identify and clarify? 100%. But now, once I learned those things, I can discard that label. I'm not anything. I'm not an extrovert. I'm not an introvert. I'm not a mixture. I don't really give a fuck I don't even want a label, because that just seems so exhausting to me. What label am I? Where am I put my category? Instead of what truly feels freeing and powerful and peaceful is just being present. I don't want to put any kind of labels, because I just want to be present. I just want to be present to this moment and this conversation, this task of washing the dishes, of cleaning cleaning my room, or organizing my whatever, or talking to a client. That's what I am. If I want to put a label on myself, it's I am present. I am the ultimate power in my life. That's the label that I want to use, if any, right? And so the reason that I'm really bringing this up, and I know it's 9 minutes into this particular conversation, is, when it comes to fat loss and health in general, I hear so many people, most people fail. That's just an observation. Most people are not getting what they want, and those that do get what they think they want, they're not really having fun and enjoying it. Because is that not the purpose of all of this? If you got shredded and got super lean, but you were still miserable because of any variety of reasons, you still didn't feel good about yourself, you were an angry person, you didn't have patience, you were mean to people, you didn't have a good relationship with your wife or your husband, or just people in general, you're not living a peaceful, enjoyable life, then what good is your being shredded? So there's people who, do things, and they might even succeed for a temporary time, or they might succeed in the task itself, but then they're not enjoying it. Because that's the ultimate. That's my point with that. Is the ultimate point is to enjoy and to be at peace, and really just watch the unfoldment of your existence or your experience, and to just enjoy, you know, what you're going through and what's happening, without needing X, Y, and Z to happen, or this person to love you, or that person to love you, or you needing a six-pack. So the thing is, this conversation is so important because the labels that you put on yourself will determine what experience you experience. The label of an introvert is usually including something like, people don't really understand me, I don't like loud places, I have a hard time in conflict, or blah blah blah. Like, there's just all these things that come along with labeling yourself as an introvert. Of course, you can list the good things too, right? Like, these are the good things, like, I identify with being an introvert because a lot of the most successful business people were actually introverts, or XYZ. Like, it doesn't matter. It happens. You can place it on either side. That's what I'm saying. It's not good or bad. It's something to observe. So when it comes to fat loss, if I say it's so hard to lose fat, I'm putting on the label of, hey, I'm a person who struggles with fat loss and my health and the way I look. So my suggestion to you is to observe the labels that you're giving yourself and observe what experiences you're living, and just compare them with the labels and identities that you've given yourself. Okay? That's it. That's all I'm asking you to do. And I'm not even going to tell you what to do from there, because that observation and awareness will allow what's next to come, like, through you. Like, you have the answers. You know the answers. You're too busy being distracted by labels and identities that, if you thought about it, you wouldn't want. Like, do you want to be a person who forever says it's so hard to lose fat? Genuinely? Or do you want to actually, like, the reason you're saying that, I would assume, is you actually want to not even think about fat, and you just want to be lean so you can enjoy everything that comes with it. And, like, my assumption, the logical assumption, is that you want it to be easy, right? So be careful with what you are saying and thinking, and what team, quote unquote, you're putting yourself on, because then you'll get those results. You'll either never get lean, or it's gonna fucking suck, and because that's your identity, like, oh, it's so hard. And then if you get it, it's either gonna be short-lived, or it's gonna be miserable the entire time you have it. So just observe, don't judge, don't fix. That's huge. Like, don't fix it, don't judge it, just observe it. The right answer will come through that. If you feel like that's too whatever, cool, don't do it. It doesn't matter. The right person will hear this and will be like, let me do that. Let me experiment and try that. All right. And I'll tell you, best little piece, you know, for my entire life, I was like, I can observe this. I always thought in business and in my ability to talk with people, I always like, I'm really shy and it's hard for me to talk to people, or I don't like conflict, I don't know how to negotiate. And of course, because I cared so much about this label and the fear, like, there's a lot of stuff that goes along with that, but it starts with that label of me saying, oh, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at business, I'm not good like that guy, I'm not good like my dad, I'm not good like my brother, or whoever it is, I'm not good at it like Gary Vee. You take whoever you want. And when you do that, you live that experience. So I lived an experience of being a shitty negotiator. I lived an experience of being unsatisfied with my business transactions. And then even despite that, for some reason, I just kept showing up, and I experienced many successes on paper, but they didn't feel successes in my body, right? And so I was giving power to all of these things and literally creating my life because of the label that I was putting on myself. And that's a very important part of this, is like, when you're doing that, you're thinking about what you don't want. Use that, don't demonize it. Use that to pivot to think about what you do want. And then you realize that everything is important. Everything is all part of the equation. It's all part of everything. It's there because it's supposed to be there. It's there for evolution. Yeah, just some thoughts around that, because I see this all the time. I talk to people like, I've just struggled with, these emotional issues for a long time, XYZ. And yeah, I mean, you could spend decades trying to figure out your emotional issues, or you can pivot and go from thinking about, stop putting those labels on yourself. And then if you really want, you know what? There's times where it's helpful to put on the label of something that's going to be better, right? And there's degrees and there's subtleties, and there's that's the beauty of it. It's a beautiful thing, because as you try these different things on and throw things that aren't helpful away, you continue to evolve. That's literally evolution at the highest level. Nature takes billions of years, millions and millions of years for evolution to take place. We're at a point of that. We're part of that. But our particular point of evolution can happen so fast. It can happen instantaneously sometimes, when you realize how powerful these labels are. And then you try on a different label, and just by observing and understanding some of these things, you evolve into a different person that fast. Thinking about, oh man, if I'm coming to a business thing or an acting thing or a workout thing, thinking about how I was before, and the fact of the matter, or the reality is, this is what I've done and how I've done it, blah 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 blah. Well, of course I'm gonna get more of that. If I'm the person who's oh, it's so hard to build muscle because I'm Indian and I'm skinny and I'm blah 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 in my genetics, then how would I ever build muscle? It's not even going to allow me to take the actions that are actually required to build muscle. And it's going to also prevent me from even attempting those things, because I'm in my head, that's what the label of this person, skinny, hard gainer, I can't build muscle, I'm skinny fat. That label, that person, that identity doesn't train hard. They just don't. They don't do the things that would cause physiological change to happen, physiological adaptations to happen. In a non-fancy way, they're not going to do the things that are going to cause you to look a different way, because that's not the label they got. And I've experienced more change in my business, in my relationships, in my body, in my health, the more I realize what labels I'm actually putting on myself or allowing other people to put on me, and then what identity I'm choosing than ever before. I'm 32 now. I'm more athletic and powerful and a better basketball player than I ever was. Because when I was playing, I had all these labels. And I've gotten and I continue to get rid of labels every single day as I go forward. I'm more athletic than I've ever been. Because I stopped, like, I'm not thinking about once you get older, that's it. Well, if I think that, of course I'm not going to bring the right person to my training. Of course I'm not going to do the right training. What's the point if once you get older, you just fall apart? Then why would I do that? That person doesn't do that. That person just continues living their life without training. And if they do attempt to train, they're the person who just like they're not going to get great results. They're just not. It just doesn't happen. And I'm not asking you to take my word for it. Just observe. Anytime a person who's showing up at the gym and they're always talking about how they're falling apart, they're old, blah, 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 like their experience like replicates that or mirrors that. Like they speak of this as if they're just trying to hold their rickety body together with duct tape and super glue before it falls apart, because that's what happens inevitably. But anyways, my invitation to you is to fucking look at what labels you put on yourself or other people put on you and see how that molds the identity that you live. Hate it's a strong word, but see, I don't want to judge myself for even that word. Like, I just take it all in. I hate fucking people telling me what I should or shouldn't be doing, how it is, how I'm this, how I'm that. I hate that. And I hate myself being unaware to observe my labels that I'm putting on myself, because those are the most powerful labels, the ones that we unconsciously put on ourselves. So that's my invitation to you is to check it out. What's going on? See what's up. You know, nothing is bad. Everything is beautiful. Take what's good, leave what's not, and continue to move forward. The purpose is now. That's what the purpose is. The purpose is this. The purpose is me recording this podcast. The purpose is me talking to you about this, because that is what came out of me, and I wanted to share it. That's the purpose. There's no bigger purpose. I don't really care if I get 1 million downloads. I don't care. That's not the identity that I choose. I choose to have the identity of a person who's sharing things as he goes deeper into the truth of what is. And the areas of specialty that have helped me see this is like world-class fitness, fat loss, strength, mobility, and flexibility. Like, that's what I do. That's the lens that I have. That's my area of expertise. But this is an idea that must be paid attention to. So watch those labels, and also watch the labels you put on other people, because you'll see the same shit happen. You'll see somebody who lives up to the label that you gave them. It's called the Pygmalion effect. It happens to yourself and to other people, aka the self-fulfilling prophecy. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for today. I will see you later.